It's August 16th, 2024, and the WNBA is back in action following the All-Star break in the Olympics. Teams are eager to return to competition as the Indiana Fever gear up to host the Phoenix Mercury. These two teams have already met twice this season, with the Fever emerging victorious in both matchups. So let's dive into the action. First quarter, the game began at a slower pace, but Aaliyah Boston of the Indiana Fever quickly got things going with an offensive putback. After a few more baskets from the Fever and a quick timeout by the Phoenix Mercury, their center and U.S. gold medalist Brittany Griner opened the scoring on the other end with a contested mid-range jumper. Caitlin Clark found her rhythm early, coming off a screen to sink a three-pointer, extending the Fever's lead. Just 30 seconds later, she added a tough and one. The Mercury struggled, but Diana Taurasi made plays that kept them within striking distance of the Fever. However, Caitlin Clark continued to shine, adding another and one to her tally. After several minutes of tough defense, Micaiah Herbert-Harrigan and Kelsey Mitchell exchanged three-pointers. The Fever maintained control as Caitlin Clark extended their lead to 19 points with another three-pointer. As the first quarter closed, Kahleah Copper hit a buzzer beater, making the score 33-16. Second quarter, the Mercury needed to up their intensity and rely on their stars, starting with Brittany Griner sinking two free throws. But Caitlin Clark quickly answered with another three-pointer. The Fever continued to dominate, with Caitlin Clark orchestrating the offense, dishing out assists, including one to Nalissa Smith for an and one. After another assist from Clark to Kelsey Mitchell, the Mercury called an early timeout as the game began slipping away from them. Though the Mercury scored immediately after the timeout, it didn't slow the Fever down, as Erica Wheeler added yet another three-pointer for Indiana. The Mercury managed a couple of nice shots from Diana Taurasi and Natasha Cloud, but by that point, the lead had ballooned to 22 points. After a few more Fever buckets, Natasha Cloud stepped up with two three-pointers, trying to spark a comeback. A minute later, Diana Taurasi drained another three, cutting the deficit to 17 points, putting the game within reach. No more shots fell, and both teams headed to the locker room, likely with very different messages. The Fever were in full control, thanks in large part to Caitlin Clark, whose shooting and playmaking were crucial to their big lead. She looked sharp after the long break. The Mercury, on the other hand, needed more contributions from their stars, like Brittany Griner. The fact that this was their second game of a back-to-back certainly didn't help. But if they wanted to win, they needed to dig deep and find the energy to make a run. Third quarter. Determined to close the gap, the Mercury came out strong. Kahleah Copper started the quarter with a quick driving layup. Brittany Griner followed up on the next possession, working in the post to score an and one. After trading free throws, the Mercury got a steal, which led to another Griner basket, a hook shot that cut the once 28-point deficit to just 9, forcing a Fever timeout. The Fever needed to regain their first half form, and Kelsey Mitchell responded by draining a three-pointer right out of the timeout. However, after a Diana Taurasi layup, Kahleah Copper hit a pull-up jumper, bringing the lead back within 10. Kelsey Mitchell struck again, hitting another three-pointer to halt the Mercury's momentum. But the Mercury wouldn't go away, with Sophie Cunningham cutting the lead to just 7 points with a three-pointer. Micaiah Herbert-Harrigan forced another Fever timeout after hitting a corner three, narrowing the gap to just 4 points. After some free throws, Kahleah Copper helped the Mercury take their first lead of the game, 62-61, with a three-pointer. The Mercury surge continued, but Lexi Hull answered with a three-pointer on the next possession, putting the Fever back in front. The once lopsided game had turned into a back-and-forth battle. Caitlin Clark hit some free throws, quickly followed by a Natasha Cloud three-pointer off a Kahleah Copper assist. Clark capped off her third-quarter scoring with a step-back jumper, but Katie Lou Samuelson had the last word, hitting a buzzer-beater three-pointer to push the score to 73-65, heading into the fourth. Fourth quarter. The Mercury needed to continue their third-quarter momentum to pull off the comeback, while the Fever just needed to maintain pressure to secure their third win of the season against the Mercury. Brittany Griner hit one of two free throws to start the final quarter, but Caitlin Clark responded immediately with a pull-up three-pointer from the top of the key. The Mercury kept pushing, sinking a couple of free throws before Diana Taurasi nailed her third three-pointer of the night from the corner. However, after Griner picked up her fifth foul and was hit with a technical, Caitlin Clark made the free throw, adding to the Fever's lead. Clark's court vision continued to shine as she found Aaliyah Boston cutting to the basket for a smooth finish. She then delivered another assist, finding Kelsey Mitchell in the corner with a cross-court pass. Although the Mercury were close, they still needed a significant run to overtake Indiana. But the Fever were determined to keep control, with Kelsey Mitchell extending the lead to 13 points with a three-pointer, just 4 minutes remaining. Sophie Cunningham hit a three-pointer for the Mercury, but Caitlin Clark responded with a driving layup, keeping the Fever in command. The Mercury attempted a late-game rally with Natasha Cloud and Kalia Copper hitting back-to-back threes. However, Lexi Hull sealed the win with a three-pointer with 2 minutes left, pushing the lead back to 9 points. It was too little, too late for the Mercury, and Caitlin Clark put the final nail in the coffin by finding Kelsey Mitchell for her 10th assist of the game. Securing a double-double in her first game back after the break, the Fever emerged victorious 98-89, claiming their third win of the season against the Mercury and gaining momentum as they pushed toward the playoffs. Caitlin Clark wrapped up the game with 29 points, including 4 three-pointers and 10 assists. Despite a game-high 32 points from Mercury star Kalia Copper, the Mercury couldn't overcome the early deficit they dug for themselves in the first quarter. The Fever looked sharp, consistently hitting shots when it mattered most, with Caitlin Clark at the helm, orchestrating the offense. Whether she was dishing out assists, draining threes, or slicing through the lane, Clark was a constant threat. The Mercury struggled to handle the Fever's explosive start. Whether it was fatigue from their top players coming off an Olympic tournament or just an off night, it was evident they needed to bring more energy from the outset. Had they managed to keep the game close in the first 10 minutes, this could have been a completely different contest. Caitlin Clark's standout performance, coupled with strong team support, propelled the Fever to victory, demonstrating their potential as a playoff contender. The Mercury, despite Copper's valiant effort, couldn't recover from their slow start, highlighting the importance of early game intensity. Fatigue from the recent Olympics may have played a role, but the Fever's execution and Clark's leadership were the defining factors. Moving forward, the Mercury will need to find ways to sustain energy throughout the game. For the Fever, this win adds momentum as they push towards the postseason. Thanks again for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed the episode. We'll catch you in the next one. This is Glory Reports. Watch exclusive documentaries every day.